Thanks for having me. It's super exciting. The time that we live in right now, as a developer, sort of by trade, has never like ignited so much passion and capability. I would think over the last month, it's gone from AI is cool to AI is absolutely transformational for me. And it's well beyond just sort of the foundational models now. Imagine we're now in a world where we can build code with natural language. So tonight, I will show you a little bit about what Lovable is, what Lovable does, and I'll share a little bit about myself and how I got here. But really amazing time frame. So if you haven't had the chance, to check out Lovable. I have some links and things like that in the chat. My LinkedIn, how to sign up for Lovable. If you use that link, I don't get paid a lot. I get like 10 credits or prompts for free if you sign up. Hope that's okay. But if you haven't tried it out, they give you free 5 prompts per day. And I think that if you click this, maybe you get 10 when you start or something. But it's a great way to get started with Lovable. I'm on LinkedIn. I also have a Facebook group that's linked there that was really my first start into generative AI. Right when I met Paul early on, probably like 3 years ago almost, was right when generative AI was starting. So instead of being on LinkedIn, I was on Facebook, and I started a Facebook community called ChatGPT for Business and Life. It's now called AI for Business and Life. We have 300,000 members, and this has really opened up the opportunity for me to really be at that front seat of AI. Like every time sort of AI has changed, it's giving me that opportunity to see what's sort of coming first. And that it's just this power of a community. So I think we're all like understanding what the foundational models do, like Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini or Cohere, and there's all sort of open source ones. And then we saw the chatbot world, and that was pretty cool. And there's so much that can be done with an AI chatbot. Um, and then researcher bots sort of came out, and that was what Paul mentioned early on. Like, so do deep research for us. We're now at a point where now that we have this research and we have this strategy that we've developed with our foundational model, let's build some code. So before I jump to that, I am the CISO of the Pickawashani tribe. We're based out of Alabama. We've just realized that our online presence is starting to grow, and the Library of Congress has just decided to document our website that we've just been able to put up over the last year for posterity. So that's awesome. I run a company called Quantum Proof. I just launched that at MIT Media Lab at Imagination in Action. And I've been running a company called Primary Hosting for the better part of 10 years. So building code all the time. I'm based in the Midwest in Cincinnati, and I run something called AI Tinkerers here in the Midwest, which is a large organization of in-person events. If you can't make it to Boston, or if you're in Boston, definitely go to Paul's events. GAI conference, World Conference is awesome. I've been there a few times, and it's just really amazing to see this movement and be a part of it. And I don't think I've ever been as empowered as I am now with Lovable. So before I jump in, has anybody used Lovable? Yeah, anybody using Lovable at
Yeah.
all?
Looks like Michael Blake. Yeah, Michael. Looks like Michael has. Michael, do you like it? Mike, you're mute,
A
Michael.
lot.
Yeah, I've been using it for a little while now. Chris got me started with it, and it's nice. I have a big interest in coding platforms and things like that,
I
things that are
love
going to make.
coding too.
And we have a secondary person that is
Yeah, let me remove
our
that.
little sprite there is popping back in.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
Removed it. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, as a
So,
kid,
but no, Lovable's great.
yeah, Chris, keep going. Yeah, lots of people online. Alexander, Nina, Diana are all big users as well.
Awesome. So what I
And
would
actually, and there's a Go Bengals, just so you know your audience.
Oh, awesome. Yes, go Bengals, go Joe Burrow, go Jamar Chase. Hopefully we're doing the same thing in AI that they're doing in football. So, what's cool about Lovable, it's an AI code editor. So we have all these great ideas, but sometimes it's hard to execute on them. Also, being in tech, when you're selling tech or implementing it, usually you're thinking of an MVP. What's the minimum viable product that I can put in place that will meet the client's needs and everybody's willing to have a good value exchange? Usually, being the coder, you're not going in to say, you know what, I'm going to solve all of your issues. What's your biggest pain point? I'm going to solve them all, because that's just so nebulous. How could you ever build something to solve someone's issues or problems? Usually you have like some software and you're trying to fit it in and fix one specific thing. I think with AI code editors, it's going to give us this ability to fix our pain points or alleviate those pain points using AI. So I'll start just by showing you what this editor is. It's a little bit different than ChatGPT or the foundational models, mainly because it charges you more. You're being charged a prompt every time you're using this platform. But what it's going to do, it's going to actually write anywhere between 500 and 10,000 lines of code for you every time you write a prompt. So, Paul, give me a concept of any industry and let's see if we can build something unique.
Sure. Tickets tickets to a beginners class in pickleball in Boston for left-handed people.
All right. Membership management for left-handed pickleball players in Boston. Use modern design and enable us to use Stripe for payments. Make a couple, and I'm a bad speller. It doesn't even really matter, but I would more than ChatGPT, where like you can just sort of play around. Like it is smart with Lovable if you maybe build your idea in ChatGPT first and then drop it in, but it's going to work off our basic prompt. So what I'm saying is exactly what Paul said. We're going to do a pickleball club in Boston for left-handed pickleball players. We're going to try to use some modern design. We're going to enable it to use Stripe for payments. And we need to complete the marketing automation system like HubSpot, let's say, and uh, maybe have a content management system with AI chatbots to help convert users into members. All right. So pretty compound of a request, but this is going to go off to this platform. And for a few minutes, it's going to design the actual code set to build this out. And it may start right away. It may ask us if it understands our idea enough and to continue on. It does sort of have a good idea, so it's going to create this beautiful front end structure is what it's saying. So as it's going to build this out, I'll show you maybe like one in a like area that really got me thinking that this AI code editor system would be what can build pretty significant tools. Diana, do you got a question?
I do. I hope you don't mind. I was curious because you put a lot in there for that one prompt. And I wondered, I always wondered, is it easier to try to break it out into segments and do one piece of a time to troubleshoot what that feature is versus bundling it all together? And I wondered if you tried both approaches.
So I have tried a lot of approaches. I'm a more is more approach. Like I think you can throw absolutely everything at an AI, and I think it's really good at unstructured data. So even if you ramble a little bit, which is great for me, it can place everything in a way that it's really well structured. Also, like when you're thinking of like a system like Lovable, it's going to build what you tell it to build, but it may not build what you don't tell it to build. So, saying that you want a system like X is a great way. If you have a restaurant and you want to have an Uber Eats clone, tell it you build me an Uber Eats clone and look at my menu and build this out for me. And it probably will get you 60% on the first prompt. And like, you got to refine it and you got to spend a little bit of time, but we've never seen anything like this, where you can actually MVP um, a product when you're just discussing what the pain point really is. So as you can see, this is still building. The first one I'll show you, like one that I realized, like, wow, this can work. Like I have a partner and he runs a gym, and I'm like, hey, he needs a new website. I wonder if an AI can build his website. Not high stakes enough for a small business, but not high stakes enough that you got to get through a cybersecurity team. And it turns out, uploading some photos, looking at his content, it created a mobile responsive, completely well-designed system that is sort of complex. There's a lot of testimonials, and it just made it nice and totally mobile responsive. So I was like, wow, that's pretty nice that you can do something like that in 20 prompts. 20, which would be pretty remarkable. You're going from like building websites to using natural language to build websites. So that I was like, wow, look at this. This is really moving. So I stepped it up another level with a company called Swing Time. They're a baseball academy, and they do some really cool things. And they have a couple fields, and they do some really cool things. Like they have this thing called Hit Tracks that is a mobile application that you can gamify baseball. But they never really had this capability to um, rent their fields and their cages and for their batting cages and things like that, because it was just complicated. So it's a brick and mortar business that works mostly by taking phone calls. By working with the I was able to create a complete system that's tied into Google Calendar that allows the business owner to capture the rental timeframes and automate their business. And this would be a complex thing, and it is complex that you got to know the business logic. But this would go something from like, that'd be tens of thousands of dollars to sort of build out. So small businesses don't try anything like this, because it's not typically in their wheelhouse to produce. With a company like Lovable, we're now able to build those sort of things, and not just me, anybody, if you have that systems approach. Mike, I see a hand up. Then we'll go to Ray.
Yeah, Chris, so what kind of investment would the business owners need to create these couple of websites?
You sort of cut out in the very beginning. Um,
Yep. So you said typically it would be a $10,000 investment to do this. If I use a Lovable platform, what kind of investment am I making to produce what you're showing here?
okay, so I think that we've all heard the term prompt engineering in the past. I'm probably an expert prompt engineer, and I'll show you a little bit more going forward, but it's very approachable that if you spent $100 with Lovable and played around with it just to see how skillful you would be, if you've ever built a WordPress website or a Wix website or any type of real coding beyond that, like a lamp stack, and you might be able to see some really unique opportunities here. The interesting things that you may hear is like, is it secure? We're moving into a world where you can say, why don't you secure this platform? And if you pay the right fees for your servers, it's going to write its own security codes and secure itself and operate. So we're moving quickly into a new world of coding.
But Chris, at a high level, maybe 10,000 traditional and less than 500 with Lovable. Is that ballpark?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. And it's wild. I've never seen, I would say in the last like 60 days, I've coded like 1.5 to 2 million lines of code. Now, not saying everything I'm doing, I'm shipping, but this is unbelievable. I'll show you another really cool one. Then we'll drop back to the pickleball. Actually, let's see pickleball. It should be up now.
And there's you also got a question from Raymond online as well,
Okay.
Chris.
Oh, Raymond, go ahead.
I'm sorry for the delay. Oh, this is awesome. This is great. I love your enthusiasm. Yeah, Lovable, Replit, Make, all these guys. So I was curious about your workflow, because I've been using Lovable for quite a while now, as some of the other ones. And currently, do you go beyond what it presents? In other words, do you like, as a developer, I find the key thing is that I can export out to Git, put it in GitHub, pull it down to my desktop, and then go from there. And basically what I do is I take the code from Lovable or Replit or N8N and put it in Get, and then bring it to my desktop. And then I can run Claude code on it, or I can do something, some other techniques to really ensure that it's going to be a production level application. I think what's going to happen, this is great that you're spreading this word, and it's awesome. And we want everybody to build, because it doesn't take a developer to build, but developers will be employed because folks won't know if they get a bug. And I've gotten plenty of bugs. I've done, and maybe I'll do a presentation on this, where, you ask the AI to build you something, and then it builds you something, and then you ask it why it did what it did, and it comes back and it says, that psychophancy. It's like, oh yeah, you're right, absolutely. I didn't need, I asked for a git ignore file, and it gave me like almost 200 lines, and my application itself was way less than that. So I said, how about a git ignore file specific to this project? And it was like, oh yeah, you're right, and it gave me 5 lines. So, just know that this is lots of fun, because I have like lots of, colleagues that are now building stuff, and they want to get it out there. But be careful, especially
Right.
if you're doing like the financial stuff. Be careful, and be careful with data. That's all.
Yeah,
But
no,
this is
I'm with Raymond on that. Like, with tech, there's always these risks. Also, every company in the world's been hacked. I think we just saw like a gigantic hack like 2 weeks ago. So I'm always like, what can we build first over like how do I secure it? I don't even know what I can do yet. So for me, like I definitely think it's very important. It's also very important to understand systems. And if you came from a tech background and you can adopt AI, it's going to be unbelievable, your productivity. It's going to be prolific. If you can create the Mona Lisa incredibly fast, but Mona Lisa has like a little droopy eye and you got to repair that manually, that's the world I think we're going to be in for coders. And their velocity is going to be just so much higher. And it should be. I think there's going to be more code, which is going to be good. I think that automating things that couldn't afford to be automated, or just, imagine, I think we're going to move into a world where you're going to have products that are based around, the software is going to be based around the company's issues exactly, not, hey, I'm this type of industry company, this industry products out there, let me pair them together and see if I can make it work. I think we're going to move much more into a customized AI. So like what we're seeing right now, the South Paul Boston Club, it's a community. We have some register now systems and forms, and like what it'll do, it'll prototype a platform. It'll put the pricing sort of things in. I'm clicking and nothing's happening yet. So that's what you'd find. You can also click up here and see, okay, well, it's just like the beginning. It's not really complete. Now with Lovable, up until last week, there was this idea that you would put I got to put one prompt in, you get some features built out, and then it comes back to you and you put in another one. And you were the person pushing the entire conversation. It's now changed to AI agents. So instead of just charging you one prompt every time you put it in, you can say now, I need you to act as my CTO and complete the entire platform to best standards that meet or exceed the industry. And you can now like let this agent just talk to itself, and it'll start realizing that the membership system's not built out. You don't have a super admin. You need a login platform. You need a few things. So the AI very rapidly can start building a company's platform. So you'll start seeing that your 10 or 20 prompts away from an MVP. And if you do then bring in that technician to sort of finish and like launch and make sure everything's secured, you've now built something that was very hard to sort of build in that sort of time frame. We're building this on the fly. In a world where tech, you'd hate to demo it live. Now it's like, hey, here it is. The one thing that you'll see too with Lovable, this is your coding AI editor. We do not have a Postgres database. We don't have a database yet to store any data within. So what happens, there's this little button up here. You can click and you can connect something called Supabase. And for $10 a month, roughly, they give you a few free, but $10 a month per database after your first two. And you can have a full Postgres database with AI edge functions and things. So becomes really functional really fast.
Chris, there's
But
a few other just basic clarification questions in the chat. What's it
okay.
coding in, and where does the site get hosted?
Okay, so it's hosted on lovable.dev and within their ecosystem, but you can push it to GitHub. You can pull it down. You have access to your code base, and you can search files and things like that. So if you want to go deep, you can. They've also added some new functionality, like I think just really today, maybe that this little edit button just showed up, and now I can click and I can actually like drag and drop edit content where I couldn't before, where I had to like actually post or push into it. So with this, you could start making some really cool connections with AI to this. Like let's say you wanted an AI chatbot, um, build an AI chatbot to welcome users to the site. And like you'd want to put some guardrails to really think about maybe your chatbot and like how it interacts. But as you would build out your system, it's very easy now to say, hey, I want this feature and this is the job it's supposed to have, and it will do it. So we're definitely moving into a new world of tech. So why this is going, and we get some more questions, I'll show you another one that's a little bit more in depth. Okay, so this one I've been seeing, it's like almost Mother's Day, and my wife's always saying like, Chris, we need to be organized. We have a family and all these wonderful things. Like, so I've seen this idea of having a calendar system, right? So we're I have three kids and a wife, and we're all over the place all the time. We have all these ideas of things to do, but we also have like this idea of tasks. Like, hey, brush your teeth, son. You know, hey, clean your room, do your bed, things like that. That using AI was able to completely vibe code my own calendar system for our family that allows our kids to do their tasks and get paid for their chores. And now, if you're a parent, you can sort of do things like this that maybe you could before, maybe not, but really, really cool. So I think there's a lot of practical things to the AI that as you start to build with it, you'll be able to sort of build whatever you're trying to accomplish. Which is a whole new paradigm in building. So instead of just going to Google and searching for a software, and if it doesn't exist or if it's not on the App Store, it doesn't exist, you can sort of build that on the fly. And I'll pause for a second just to see if anyone has any other questions, and I'll show you some in-depth things that you can do with AI.
I don't see any other
Okay.
questions, Chris. But Chris, to be clear though, this is a prototyping. At least to me, this is prototyping and not full deployment. Is a building staging environment? Is a building
Yeah. You,
push
you can you can build staging environments. You can probably code in almost any language. You can build an MCP server and then just connect APIs to it. With systems that I have, I've built a system that's able to bring in all the large language models into one area. All the visualization systems like 3JS or D3.js, which is a really cool visualization platform, able to bring in platforms like Wolfram Alpha's API or connect to quantum computers. Let's say we're able to do phenomenal things. You can write in Rust, you can write in C++, like every single coding language can be sort of coded or developed. It's really sky's the limit. I've never seen anything honestly like it. And I think everybody's sort of a pioneer if they start pushing the boundaries. Like what we're seeing right now has been in my mind for 20 years. This is actually a wave function that is based upon some mathematics that I've worked on for about 20 years. But over the last several year and a half, AI's helped me a lot. But then in the last week and a half, you're able to get mathematical visualizations like this off natural language that would probably take teams. I've built systems where you're doing 3D calculations on wave surfaces, which is super neat. Um, you're able to bring in the craziest, deepest quantum field theory models and build calculators that would probably only be in existence if you're running a quantum computing lab at a major university or uh, a major quantum lab. So very interesting things that can be built. And I'm just seeing like the evolution of education that's going to come in the sciences when more people get their hands on how things work. This is probably one of my favorite things, other than that wave model. This is a visualization of how a quantum computer could actually function based on some really interesting quantum computing math principles. So not only is it able to visualize it, now we're able to build and use AI to build quantum circuits. Okay, so I think we're going to move quickly into a realm where AI is autonomously developing new technologies, and it's going to happen incredibly rapidly. And if you're able to use platforms like Lovable, which are at its core just an AI code editor, and there's going to be many of them, so choose wisely and maybe make sure you can port or manage your data. I think the important thing is that you need an AI code editor to really compete in this future technology revolution that we're going through, because humans will never be able to compete with the quality and speed of the coding now opened up to us. I mean, like you can code Mandelbrot sets, like very, very unique, very, very complex mathematics are showing up. And then what gets really amazing, you can start building AI swarms of data sets. So imagine you have all this data, then you can build an AI swarm that one's a mathematician, one's a physicist, one's in medicine, and you're trying to solve for pharmaceuticals that would solve issues that would solve like a person's cancer. I think we're going to move into a world where we can do that. And not saying it's all going to be vibe code, but it's not going to be coded in the same traditional methods we've had in the past. So with that, that's sort of the overview. We got our South Pole Boston built, and I'm happy to answer questions or go over anything as we get a little bit closer to wrapping up.
There's a few more questions. Hands up, Chris, when you get a chance.
Sure. Okay, Diana.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought up Supabase. And the other aspect is productionizing the final application, right? So when I tried Lovable, I used Supabase, and I found that it was not necessarily creating a sophisticated database schema. Everything was fine. I used GitHub to store the data and all that kind of stuff, but when I went back to add authentication onto the application, because I did in piecemeal, unlike what you did with all of it, that's when I started getting some errors in Supabase about row level authentication, different things like that. And that kind of caught me up. And I thought, well, is Supabase really the back end, that I want to see in a productionized version? And, what are your recommendations from going from the great concept, right, that can be created very quickly to getting through all of those different steps to make sure it's truly production ready?
So that's a great question. So I have like tied in single sign-on so many times in my career, like it's just natural. So, and if you know how to do that pretty well, like if you understand like how to log in like your single sign-on, you understand like how to sort of map some of the fundamentals, it's a little bit easier. And maybe we can work on some prompts together as a community that you could put in almost as like a pre-launch checklist, I think, like into a platform like Lovable. And I think it would help really make system tighter and cleaner and ready for deployment. And then there's probably best in class platforms to send emails. Like I know Lovable tends to send you to resend for your email system, Twilio for SMS, but I'm sure it's going to have multiple, like where you could go straight to Google's API or Facebook's API for your single sign-ons. So there's definitely a couple ways. I definitely think security is something that you can be concerned about. But when you're thinking of like Stripe and you're thinking about membership systems, there's a lot of protections already in place for card capture. And if you just you know polish it up towards the end and like ask maybe ChatGPT, what are the top 20 things I need to do to secure my website? And then just put it in Lovable. Lovable should respond back. And I would say if you're not comfortable launching something like this, definitely don't. But I believe people are going to start launching this. And like I'm already seeing commercial property or companies coming out to like provide this in HIPAA compliant systems. So,
Did you find also having some challenges with Supabase when you were building out the app, and that Supabase wasn't really building out the structure that you would typically design as a software architect or whatever?
not a ton. Like I think I had more problems when before I had the agent model, and the agent model's right here that you can turn it on and off. But if you hit this agent model, like I had more before this beta came out, honestly. Like it didn't think as much. Like having it work our prompts better through this agent mode, I think really helps. They're saying it's reducing build error rates by 90%. It's cutting down on unwanted changes. Because sometimes my biggest thing with Lovable is that if you would put in a prompt and you'd have it like where you were wanting it to go, then you'd put in a prompt and it'd rewrite portions of your system. And it was like, well, that's a major issue. I think the
Yes.
agents system has really assisted in that. However, their costing now has gone up tremendously. Before agents, I would use like 100 prompts in one day, and I would be prompting throughout the day. This system with agents, I'm up to like 250 per day now. And what's interesting too, especially if you're a vibe coder, what makes this platform really awesome is that you can like send a prompt in and then it'll go work for a few minutes and you can work on your next system and send a prompt in. It'll go work for a few minutes. So if you have several jobs at one time, you have that ability to work on multiple projects without a lot of downtime. If you're working on one project at a time, it's a little bit slower of an experience, even though it's pretty remarkable. The last thing I'll add on the security side, when you go to like add in the email system and say in resend, like let me add the APIs, you can put that in and it'll actually bring up a box that stores your keys correctly in Superbase, so they're not shared externally where they could be read. So they're trying to add some more capability. The other thing they've added on the security side where that's coming up is before you go to publish, it'll say review the security and it'll run a security protocol over the platform.
Chris, you got a handful of others. Can you see them or you want me to call them out?
Oh, please call them out.
Yeah, go ahead, David and Alexander.
Yeah. Thanks, Chris. I have a question, but every time I ask a question in this group, I realize I should be asking ChatGPT asynchronously. So I always feel a little bit like an idiot asking a question, but nevertheless, have you played around with Cursor and how does this compare? And is one of the major differences that the first instance of everything is running on their server? So sort of the linkage between pieces is built into the platform, whereas with Cursor, you'd have to do more setup. I just wanted to sort of get a little bit of and again, I could have asked ChatGPT this, so, sorry.
Yeah. So I would think that it's been the integration probably of Claude's AI code builder. I'm assuming is behind Lovable's like system. So might be right place, right time for Lovable, that it's so clean and orders of magnitude easier to use than a cursor. Like this is something that I think it's like one of these moments that you could use ChatGPT 2 via the API, and that's like sort of cursor level, like developer level, and that's good. This is going to change. Like everybody's a coder now. I think that this is one of these systems that people that pick up coding for the first time that want to build something today, and the best coders in the world that choose AI coders to build will be okay, and everyone else will just they won't even be able to compete. It's going to be a tidal wave.
No, just to push us a little bit. I mean, since you can use Claude, for example, in Cursor, are are you saying it's the infrastructure that's different, or sort of how they're tying in the models, or is this a very hard question to answer? Which like
I think it's cleaner. It's a much cleaner interface. It's just so intuitive. Lovable is probably the most intuitive AI coding editor ever built. And Cursor is good. I mean, like I've used Cursor, it's good, but I think there's a higher learning curve. It's not something that most people are going to jump into unless they're comfortable with APIs. Lovable definitely has the ease of building with the front end of ChatGPT, of just prompt, give natural language to build. So I think that's why they're seeing so much growth. And so I don't think Cursor's bad. Like I've been coding with AI for the last like fixing problems for the last 2 years. But I think this is orders of magnitude different just because it's so accessible.
Let's keep driving. Alexander, then Raymond. Go ahead, Alexander.
Hey, Chris. I just have two questions regarding Lovable. So, when it comes to like system prompts, are you using any specific, system prompts time and time again to start off your projects? And then also as well, how do you like guide the UX and UI design? Because even with Lovable, I noticed like, when you're building that first product, it's kind of basic UI and UX. But do you have any kind of tips to get more kind of like modern UI and UX?
Yes. So for me, my favorite like I love UI. I think UI is like really awesome. And I love some of these new systems like the D3.js like library or the 3.js or some of these really cool visualization models are cool. But if you don't tell it what you want, it will be very basic. But if you know what you like and you tell it, it's really good. So if you wanted a Ken Burns sort of slider up top with a video player in the back of it, you could tell it to do that. If you want a content management system with an AI code editor that's like if you're in WordPress, like an Elementor system, or if you like a Wix background, you tell it to like build a content management system like Wix but powered by AI. It'll do that. What I really think this is cooler than just building a website. The cool things I found to do it, like the first things I was able to do. How do you build like using OpenAI's vision model? I was with a couple partners and we went to a bodybuilding showcase, okay, in competition. And I wanted to see if I could build an AI that could analyze people's physiques and then grade them and tell us who would win. And with Lovable, we coded it while we were there. Like it was pretty impressive that we could take pictures and it actually gave us like an analysis out of it. So I think that with Lovable, one of the cool things I recommend everybody try is what's some cool thing in multimodal AI that you don't even know if you could ever connect, but you know how to you got your API key from OpenAI. Just ask Lovable to build something and drop in your API key and just see if it works. And I think that's like really the really cool thing is to see if you could even what do these AI models have the capability to do? And then I think seeing an AI code editor might be that driving force that you could build that little bit of magic that before was just unobtainable. It wasn't even something you'd ever shoot for. Um, there's other things you can do too with Lovable. I'm sure of like comparative and predictive analytics or data sets. Yeah, I was at NKU last week and working with some economic chairs there, and we pulled in the Fed data from St. Louis Fed immediately, and it started pulling in real time, and we were able to do it in like 15 minutes. So APIs are your friend with Lovable. So I would definitely recommend that. However, you can combine as much things into one space, you'll be able to leverage Lovable better. Will you be able to secure it? Maybe a different question, but what can you do? That's what I definitely recommend for Lovable now on the prototype level. And I think that in months from now, most people will ship off a platform like Lovable. There's also Bolt. There's probably Blitzy. There's probably lots of these platforms that are coming on. But Lovable just seems to be crushing it with its month over month growth.
We just have a few more minutes. Let's go 5 minutes over just to get all these other questions here. Raymond, and then Angela, and then Ian. Go ahead, Raymond.
I love this enthusiasm, man. I love it, man. Where you been? Like, we should have been hanging out. I've been doing this for like, since day one. So we're gonna connect after this. Um, so yeah, I've used Lovable, Replit, Bolt, all of these guys, and I think folks that are just like dipping their toe in, they can save a lot of time and save a lot of money if they run their idea through a model that they already have. In other words, if you already have access to ChatGPT or Claude or whatever, just give it your idea and say, I want to build such and such. Ask it for an outline, ask it for a breakdown, step by step. You've heard this before. It's like, let it give you an outline, let it give you the structure. Ask it questions, and once it gives you that complete structure, that complete outline, then give that to Lovable, right? And
Yep.
then you'll have something that's really cooking. But it sounds like a lot of what you're doing is, I like the immediacy. It's like, yeah, we just had this idea. Let's open up your laptop, build it, done. I think that's great. I think that in terms of enterprise level, that's most likely not going to happen so much. But targeting consumer, a lot of consumer apps I can see coming, and especially once the models get down to the device, small agents, and so those are the things that are coming. It's going to be down to the phone.
Really excited, Raymond. The last two, Angela and then Ian. Go ahead, Angela.
Okay, real quickly, I'm just wondering, have you tried Relay app?
I have not tried Relay app.
Okay, all right. I heard there's a more simpler version of Lovable, so I was just checking.
I just recommend using an AI code editor, and like this is your time frame. If you've never coded, it's your time frame to like, let me try to build some code, and don't try to build it the old-fashioned way. Like, see what AI can do, because imagine in 3 years from now, if all you have to say is update and change my color scheme, and here's my events, and you can talk to your machine to fix your front end websites and tech, it's going to be pretty magical. And I'm certain that enterprises will catch on. I think it's going to be hard to develop in any traditional manner and keep up. I think that we're going to see a tremendous uptick in new technologies and new software build out that are going to come from very, very small shops of people with very strong access to AI and paying their monthly prompt bills.
That's great. Good. Ian, take us home here.
Yeah, so I'm a designer developer. So seeing this is like just seeing it being all automated is pretty interesting in terms of like getting paid for time and everything. So knowing this was coming, I did start kind of focusing on quantum mechanics and kind of learning the science behind it. So I guess because you have a quantum mechanics background, how do you know like the math that it's generating is right? Because like I'm writing like unitary evolution in like Schrodinger style equations. But I don't really know if they're right. So like how do you know what's right and what isn't when you're like way over your head?
So you planted this question, so this will be like a perfect one to wrap up on. So for me, I'm very much into pure number theory. I'm probably more of a pure number theory person than a quantum person. AI helped me create this whole demo, so I'll show you a couple really fast. Most people think the number line is a straight line forever. It probably comes from Euclid a long time ago. I think that the number line is curved on a five-fold complex plane. And if you numbered 1 through 5, it'd look like that. And 1 would be 1 away from 0, and 2 would be 2 points away from 0, but they would be in this spiral sort of pentagonal shape. Okay. From that, when I taught the AI that, it sort of understood it. And there were some really cool things that happened. Like if you count by one, it would look like that in my model. But if you count by two, it sort of becomes a star pattern. Three is a clockwise star pattern. Four has this pattern of a spiral that's counterclockwise, and fives and zeros take off in a certain way. So there's this regularity or the symmetry that I've known for like 20 years. I could get this far without AI, but the things that I couldn't get to with AI is like thinking like, you know what if I could count really high, but only look at prime numbers? Okay. And by putting prime numbers in a space, a geometric space, I was able to really use AI to better understand how pure numbers are placed in a geometric space. When you mapped Fibonacci's sequence of this, it sort of did something cool. So I was like that. Also, perfect squares sort of do something really pretty and I thought unique when you map it out like this. So I was able to do this like last year. And I also got to like primes. Okay. So like being able to find prime triplets, I was able to say, hey, is there any type of patterns here, AI? And it started to find some patterns in the number system that I was able to extrapolate. And then from that have been able to move into having a couple different proofs created. We're right around probably 250 or 300 unpublished, but 50 that have like been looked at and like are sort of okay. And then we moved into that wave demo that you saw. So like really excited about this. Like I can't really believe that the AIs can like build things like this. Okay. So trying to push where the AI is going to go in some of this complex AI quantum world. And we'll see sort of what happens. But like I said, my favorite here's a the duality model. So it's just really cool. I think we're going to be able to like train the AIs and answer questions we never thought possible. And we're living in this super unique world that mathematics and physics and intentionality are all going to combine in really, really cool ways.
Chris,
So
what a fabulous way to end. So, wonderful, wonderful presentation. Your enthusiasm's contagious. You're teaching us all and showing us the way. And, you really got me thinking about non-coders starting today to understand how to get a key and some of the basics. It's just going to be even more powerful. So it's really a great vision here. So thank you, everyone. Let's keep the learning going here. Let's get the word out. We should have a couple hundred people here. This is such a great group here, and we got to do a better job of marketing.